Ted O'Brien is the Shadow Treasurer and the Deputy Leader of the Liberal Party. He joins me from Parliament House right now. Ted, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Mark.
Well, there's a lot of pain for mortgage holders this morning, Ted, and the Treasurer is refusing to take any responsibility for it.
Yeah, what it means is the average mortgage holder is paying around $23,000 extra in interest payments alone under Labor. I mean, it's enormous, Mark. So it was only the last week or so, mums and dads are dropping kids off at school, now looking at their family budget. I mean, everything from textbooks, shoes, uniforms. Things are costing a lot. They now know that in 2026, they're going to be even poorer because prices are still going up, interest rates are now going up, real wages will come down, taxes will go up. So it's a dire situation and the Treasurer will take no responsibility. And if he won't take responsibility, well, he can't be relied upon to fix the problem.
I want to come to that in just a moment, but in your expert opinion, and I'm sure you've read some of the pieces by The Economist today, how much more pain is there to come for Australians? How many more rate rises do you think there could be in 2026?
Well, the market is pricing in at least one, maybe two. And so it sounds as though the market is saying that it's only going to get worse from here. If you look at the Reserve Bank yesterday, when they came out and confirmed this increase in interest rates, they also did a brush off of forecasts, as in they updated their forecasts for things like inflation. And they are now saying inflation will peak at 4.2%. I mean, that's huge. So if people don't follow this stuff too much, the target is 2.5%. They are saying it's going to be 4.2%. So in other words, prices, they believe, are going to continue to be soaring.
Just on the Treasurer, I thought we needed to see from the Treasurer yesterday a bit of compassion because Australians are hurting, Ted. I mean, you travel the country, you speak to people. I've got emails from people this morning saying, Mark, I'm not going to be able to afford an extra $1,300 a year on my mortgage repayments. And then good luck if I lose my house trying to find a rental and being able to keep up with that. I can barely put groceries on the table. But all we got were attacks on your side of politics. We got, a smug look on the faces of Tony Burke and the Deputy Prime Minister, Richard Marles. Anthony Albanese was having a crack at Susan Lee. I mean, I just think they're lacking compassion, this government. And Australians, they need to understand Australians want answers and they're pointing the finger not at the RBA, but at this Labor government.
Yeah, and so, Mark, I think right across Australia, I'm seeing a hollowing out of what used to be referred to as the middle class. We are dealing with a new working poor, and that's the main concern. And yesterday's news just is reinforcing the pain that lies ahead. There's absolutely no hope. And yet in the Parliament, you do have everyone from the Prime Minister, the Treasurer, the front bench of the ministers, all having a great time. I mean, most of them really, they're just career politicians. The vast majority have never held a job outside of being in Parliament House. So they love the parliamentary games. And this is the problem, which means they're just completely detached from reality, where everyday Australians, they don't care about games that get played in Parliament. They care about how much money's in their wallet. They care about, every fortnight, are they the pay they get, how much can they, buy groceries with that? These are the things that people worry about, and that is why, as a Liberal Party, we are keeping focused on keeping the government to account on that. Even though the government might giggle and think everything's all funny, they're not laughing on Struggle Street. They're not laughing when they're dropping the kids off to school, looking at the family budget. They're not laughing when they just have to trade off big decisions in the House. Do they stop the takeaways? Do they cancel a holiday so the kids can have those extra sporting lessons and so forth? They're the hard trade-offs that families make. But the federal government is failing to make trade-offs they should make. If they want to spend more money, fine. You're the government, prioritise your spending. But if you're going to do that, do what families do. Find offsets. Find ways to pay for them. Find room for them in your budget. This government isn't doing it, is pouring too much money into the economy, that's pushing prices up, inflation up, and forcing the Reserve Bank to take money out of the economy by increasing interest rates.
Well, on the Reserve Bank, the Governor's reputation's taken a hit here too, Ted, Michelle Bullock. Clearly, government spending is a problem. Every respected economist in the country is pointing to that. You've made that point this morning. Yet Michelle Bullock stood there yesterday at a press conference, and when quizzed about Labor's spending, she said, "I'm not going to tell the government what to do with fiscal policy. That's not my business." Shouldn't it be her business, given it's one of the driving factors behind rising inflation and the need to lift the cash rate and inflict more pain on Australians?
Well, there's no doubt that the economy works best when both fiscal and monetary policy are working in the same direction. What we've seen, though, is they're working in opposite directions because of that spending spree problem of the government. They have the foot on the accelerator.
But why won't she call it out, Ted? Why won't she call out the Treasurer? Is she too close to government? What's the story?
Well, I don't know of any Reserve Bank governor who has come out explicitly criticising government. They do everything humanly possible not to. And the problem is Jim Chalmers hides behind Michelle Bullock.
Well, but what more evidence does she need, Ted? There's been 13 rate rises under this government. 13 rate rises. At what point do you as the Reserve Bank governor say, look, government spending's out of control. I'm the one that's being made to look like the bad person here because I've got to lift interest rates. Surely she's entitled to say, look, they've got to come to the party here as well, as does the RBA.
Well, there's no doubt that the RBA is independent and they should be able to speak for themselves. However, RBA governors have never gone out criticising the government of the day. And this is why Jim Chalmers is hiding behind Michelle Bullock. So Jim Chalmers is in the parliament and is out there saying, oh, but the RBA isn't criticising our spending. Well, of course they don't. The RBA never criticises the government of the day. He's a coward. He's hiding behind Michelle Bullock. I mean, front up. Every credible economist in the land knows that the driving factor behind interest rates going up is wasteful spending by this government. And the best the Treasurer can do is hide behind Michelle Bullock as the Governor of the Reserve Bank. It speaks to his absolute disrespect for the institution of the Reserve Bank. Yeah. He should front up and admit it.
I find it extraordinary as well. I mean, we're talking about the Reserve Bank Governor here, Michelle Bullock, who's saying that we need to lift productivity. Yet we've got the unions out there today. There's a story in the Financial Review where they're pushing the government to bring in legislation that says that they can stop work if it hits 35 degrees. How the hell is that going to lift productivity?
Well, as a Queenslander, Mark, I can tell you there'll be very little work being done.
There'll be very little work being done because we live in a sunburnt country, and as I made the point off the top of the show, Ted, I mean, go and tell the volunteer firefighters that are protecting homes they don't down hoses because it's too hot. Now, how's morale, Ted, down there in Canberra? There's all this drama at the moment. We don't have to go through it in chapter and verse. I understand there's a meeting today between Mr Littleproud and Ms Lee. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So there was a meeting the other night, and that was very productive. It was constructive, a lot of goodwill in the room. Both Susan Lee and David Littleproud share the same intent. They both believe that Australia is best served when the Liberals and Nationals work together in a coalition. But with that said, that doesn't mean there's a guarantee that there will be a reunion. There are certain conditions that have to be treated as sacrosanct, and that includes working as a team. So shadow cabinet solidarity, all those sorts of things. And so there should be another conversation today. We'll wait to see where it goes. Could go either way.
How do you said earlier that your role is to hold the government to account. How do you hold a government to account when it clearly looks like you as a coalition can't even get your own backyard in order?
Well, there's no doubt that we have work to do for ourselves to make sure we are a more effective, stable opposition. And, Mark, I don't deny that. I'd be foolish to. But that doesn't take you away from the main game. What it does take away from is it does distract people's attention on what message you're trying to give. Because naturally, we're all human beings. People are interested in issues where, two parties that were a coalition split. How's that going? What are the relationships like? I do understand all that. And so the downside for me is it does make it harder to get the key message out, which is Australians are becoming poorer as a direct result of the Albanese government. It is harder to get that message out.
Isn't it time just to hit the reset button? Littleproud's got to go. Susan Lee's got to go. Just start again. I mean, you just seem to be reinventing the wheel. You're going around in circles. More and more people are jumping to One Nation. Their primary vote's through the roof. Yours is in the toilet. Isn't it just time to admit, right, we've got significant underlying problems. We need to start again?
Well, look, I mean, I do understand One Nation are doing very well, Mark. Polls are interesting. I think if you and I spoke this time last year, and we probably did, the coalition, we were winning the two-party preferred around this time last year.
Yeah, but Ted, like Susan Lee's personal approval rating, 9%. You're trailing One Nation for the first time in the history of polling. I mean, to make that comparison's a bit rich, isn't it?
No, I think it's a fair comparison, only to make the point that, polls are sort of like the stock market. They do move around. I think the closer an election becomes, I think people's mind will focus on issues of economic management and national security. They become the real areas of debate between the two major parties because we are parties of government. If you look at the last 6 months, Mark, there's been a big debate on net zero, on Islamic extremism, and you have had Barnaby Joyce leave the National Party, go to One Nation. So there has been a lot of things happening which probably play to the advantage of One Nation.
All right. Well,
and we've got our own issues to sort out. So once we do, and we are talking about what matters most, which is the economy and the impact on day-to-day lives, I do believe that we will see a correction.
All right. Well, if the polls are like the stock market, I wouldn't want to be buying stocks in Susan Lee at the moment. Let me ask you this. Will she still be the leader of the Liberal Party come Friday of next week?
Yes, Mark, she will. I believe she has the support of the majority of the party room. And even through this difficult period of a split from the National Party, the judgment and decisions she has made does have the support of the majority of the Liberal Party room. So I do believe the answer to your question is yes.
All right, Ted, you've offered up some answers this morning. We'll find out what our listeners have got to say about it all, but we're certainly feeling for those struggling Australians who are dealing with yet another rate rise, and there's, by the sounds of things, a few more to come. Appreciate your time as always.
Thank you very much, Mark. All the best.
That's Ted O'Brien, Shadow Treasurer and the Deputy Leader of the Liberal Party.